Hey guys, it's Giles here with a new type of tutorial. I've heard a lot of you are interested in becoming iPhone SDK developers and learning how to use the iPhone SDK and all that good stuff. And I'd still consider myself no expert by any stretch of the mean, but I am getting better, and I have been coding for a couple months now, and I know what I'm doing in Xcode, so I'm here to teach you guys how to do some things. So we're going to create a very simple app that will just display that will have buttons, and when you click a button, it'll display an alert, and why don't I just show you? So we're going to create this app. So it'll say, what is your favorite Apple computer? And then it'll have 4 buttons, iMac, MacBook, and it'll say you chose the MacBook as your favorite Apple computer, go back, yes, Mac Pro, go back, Mac Mini, go back. So, yeah, pretty cool. Just something simple and something to get you started with the SDK and learning how to create outlets and variables and strings and stuff like that. So, we're going to open up Xcode and we're going to, oops, that was what I had before. We're just going to create a new project and we're going to make it a view-based application. I'm using the 3.0 SDK, but the iPhone 3.0 SDK, but all this stuff is the same in the 2.2.1 or 2.0 SDK. So we're just going to create a new project by going File, New Project, and we're going to go iPhone OS, Application, View-Based Application. We're going to hit Choose. And I'll just call this Button Alert. And hit Save. Title doesn't matter, it's just something to help you organize yourself. And we'll be dealing with two different folders. So over here is our groups and folders pane, and we have our nib files, implementation files, and we have all these files. We don't want to deal with these yet. Some of these we'll be using, but we're going to be using them in a different way. We're going to be dealing with these two main folders. We're going to be using the classes folder and the resources folder. So we're going to start off in our classes folder, and we have 4 files here. We have our button alert app delegate.header and our button alert app delegate.m or .h and .m. And basically this is just what delegates your app and makes everything work. Normally you don't need to touch that stuff. So we're going to go into our view controller.h. Let me make this a bit bigger. That looks better. So we're going to go into our viewController.h, and we're going to set up the variables to set up in Interface Builder. So what we're going to need, if you look at our app here, we have 4 buttons. We have iMac, MacBook, Mac Pro, Mac Mini, and then we also have the static text. So to create those buttons, we need to create Interface Builder outlets. So each button can connect to a button on the device. So we're going to go into our viewController.h, this is our header file, and where we see button alert viewController : UI viewController, we're going to go to the end after the bracket, hit enter, and we're going to start typing IB outlet, which creates an IB outlet, an Interface Builder outlet that we can connect something to. And then we're going to go UI button, user interface button, and we're going to title it, and to signify a title, use an asterisk if it's something new, and we'll just call this button 1, semicolon, and then I can copy and paste this for the rest of these, and just go 4, 3, 2, 1. And then we need to set up our properties. So we go after the bracket, we want to go @ property, space, parenthesis, non-atomic, retain, and then we're going to title it for the button. So we'll go UI button, button 1, semicolon. And we'll copy and paste this again for the other 3, 2, 1, and then we need to create our action. So we will have all those buttons, we can set those up in Interface Builder, but we still need an action to deal with so that this happens when this button is pressed. So we only need one action. The way we're doing it so we can change the text in the alert view based on what the button is called, what like the title of the button, so the text that's in the button. So we're just going to create one. We're going to hit dash or hyphen, whatever you want to call it, open parenthesis, IB action, close parenthesis, and we'll just call this button pressed. Oh, I want to spell it right. Button pressed, semicolon, parenthesis, ID, sender, semicolon. So now that we've set everything up in our nib file, so now we just need to create our interface in Interface Builder. So we're going to go to our resources folder, and we're going to look for our viewcontroller.nib. It's actually .xib, but it's known in the coding world as the nib file. So we're going to see button alert viewcontroller.nib, not main window.nib. So we're going to double click our viewcontroller.nib. Let's bring these windows up so you guys can see it. Bring these up here. And if these two windows aren't open, your library and your attributes, you can just open those in, by going to Tools, Library, or Tools, Inspector, right here. So once you open your nib file, you'll see it's just a gray background. You can click the background and change that color to, let's just make it white. You can change some other stuff too, but we're not going to. And what we're going to do is create 5 different controls. One's just a piece of static text, so we're going to go into our library, and you want to be under your Cocoa Touch library, and we're just going to drag out a simple label right here. So let's drag this out. We'll call this, we'll double click to title this what is your favorite Apple computer? And we'll go layout, alignment, align horizontal center, or let's bring this up to the top, and then go layout, alignment, horizontal center. Okay, so then we want to drag out 4 round rectangle buttons, which will be each of our button 1, 2, 3, and 4 that we defined here. So we're just going to drag out round rectangle button, and we'll position this just below this, and it'll be centered. And we're going to just drag these out until you have these little blue lines pop up, just like that. And then we're just going to hold Shift and Alt option, and we're just going to drag this down 4 times, and we're going to drag it down not too much but not too little, and you should see a little blue dotted line appear at the top when you're dragging it down. That's how you know you've gone the correct distance. This is Apple's human user interface guidelines that's popping up. So then we're going to title each of these buttons. We're going to call this one, hold up, alright, there we go. We're going to call this one Mac Mini. Let's not spell things, there you go. Mac Mini, Mac Pro, what's this one? iMac, and MacBook Pro. So now that we have our 4 buttons created, we need to connect these to the IB outlets, because it won't automatically detect that this is button 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to our window, window right here, our viewcontroller.nib, and we're going to click on Files Owner, see our Files Owner icon. We're going to hit Control, drag from our Files Owner up to the first button, and you'll see this little gray dialog box, this heads-up display pop up, and we're just going to select button 1, and then we're going to repeat this process for the rest of the 3 buttons. So button 2, button 3, button 4, and then we're good. So those are all our buttons, and now we need to connect the action, since that's what we defined down there. So we're going to click on our first button, and unfortunately you can't set these by bulk, so you can't select them all and set one action for them. You have to do them individually. So we're going to hit Mac Mini, and we're going to go to our button attributes, and see we're going to go to our button connections over here, and we've already seen our reference outlets, and this is referencing to Files Owner, and it's being called button 1. Now we're going to go under Events, and we're going to hit Touch Up Inside, because what touch up inside means is that it'll the action will be performed when the user pulls their finger up from the button, only inside the button. So if the user touches the button, then drags off and pulls up, we want to give them the chance if they accidentally made a mistake. So if they do that, then no action will be performed. So we're going to drag from touch up inside down to our files, down to our files owner, and hit button pressed. And we're going to repeat this for the other three. Touch up inside, files owner, button pressed. Touch up inside, files owner, button pressed. And finally, touch up inside, files owner, button pressed. So now that we have our everything set up in our view controller nib file in Interface Builder, we can save, file save, and quit Interface Builder. Now when we go back to Xcode in our header file, we don't need anything there since everything there is all set up. So we're going to go into our viewcontroller.m, and we have it importing our header file, but we also need to make sure that the viewcontroller.m knows what buttons exist. So we're going to go under our implementation button alert view controller. We're going to go synthesize, so @synthesize, and if you use CodeSense, you can just hit tab and it'll auto-complete for you. Synthesize button 1, semicolon, and then we're just going to copy and paste this for the other three. So there's 4, 3, 2. And then anywhere, I'm just going to create an open space here, because I like to do things in an open space because it makes it look more organized. We're going to hit hyphen, just like what we did over here. This is going to be our IB action, so if you want, you can just copy and paste this, which is what I usually do, and just paste that in. You also want to delete the semicolon at the end because we're going to put a curly bracket over there. So I'm just going to close this off so I don't forget. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up 3 different strings to use in our alert view. So as you can see here, if we click one of these buttons, the alert view pops up and this text changes. The iMac changes to MacBook or to Mac Pro or to Mac Mini, but the other text stays the same. So we're creating 2 strings, one for the button that the user pressed, one for that title, and then one for the string that'll be inside the alert view. So we're going to go ns string equals, ns string asterisk favorite Mac, because we're titling it, equals bracket sender. The sender is the button, and it'll, since we have 4 actions one action for 4 different buttons, it'll pick, so if the sender is, what we're doing here is, if the sender is iMac, then it'll display the text as iMac, and the sender is the button. So the sender is the button that you press. So sender title for state, and the title is what we set up in Interface Builder, which is the text that's actually on here. We don't need to write that text anywhere in the code. Title, it'll automatically detect it. Title for state, UI control state. And if you press escape, it'll give you all the options. There are a lot of these. We're just going to hit control state normal. And we're going to go close bracket, semicolon. And then we're going to hit enter, and we're going to create our second string, which is a string that'll be inside the alert view. So we're going to go ns string, and we'll just call this alert view text. And we'll go equals bracket ns string allocate. So we're just going to type ALLOC, alloc, which stands for allocate, close bracket, and then since we have a second bracket in the beginning, we're going to go init with format, and this is saying initialize with format. So basically create the string with the format, and whenever you're creating any plain text string, you want to start off with the parenthesis, or @ quotation mark, and we're just going to call this you chose the, and then we're going to create our variable. So this is what depends on being in here, so we're going to hit %@. So you chose the %@, and we'll define what that is in a couple seconds. %@ as your favorite Apple computer. Close parenthesis, and then to define what goes in that space, because if we compile it, we'll just get an error. So we're going to hit comma, favorite Mac. Because if you have a lot of variables, you want to define what's there. So, and if you have 2 variables, you can put them in order, and I'll show you that later in a later video. So then we're just going to hit close bracket, semicolon, and this is where we create our alert view. So we're going to go UI, user interface, alert view. As you can see, it already starts to complete it for us, equals, or sorry, I want to title this, asterisk alert, equals, bracket, bracket, UI alert view, allocate, just like we did with the string. And in this case, we're not going to initialize it with a format, we're going to initialize it with a title. So we're going to init with title, and as you can see, it'll create all of these different, everything else we need in the alert view for us. So init with title, and I'll just call the title plain text, what's going on, plain text favorite Mac. And I'll just hit enter. Message will be the text that we set up here. So what our message is going to be, we don't need to write anything special. We just need to write alert view text. Enter delegate nil, because nothing happens when we press the button. When we press the buttons in our alert view, as you can see, it just dismisses the alert view. If you wanted to make something actually happen, then you'd use delegate self and then create a button later. I'll show you how to do that later. Cancel button title, we'll just call this plain text go back. And other button titles, we'll just call this plain text. You can have as many as you want, I think, but there's obviously a limit because you don't want to use too many. We'll just call this yes. And then since we can't just say yes, we have to write, since you're able to have multiple values here, so we could say yes, plain text, no, but we're not going to have no, so we need to create nil. So yes, and then nothing else. Close bracket, parenthesis. And then we're going to go up here and indent these so that it looks a bit nicer. And so that's our UI alert view. Now we need to show it and then release it. So we're going to go bracket alert, which is the title of up here. So if you made it whatever, then this would be whatever. So alert show semicolon and bracket alert release bracket semicolon. So that's everything in our button press action. Now we need to deallocate our 4 buttons that are up here. So we synthesized those, and now we need to deallocate them. So we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom of our viewcontroller.m file, and after void deallocate curly bracket above super deallocate, we're going to hit bracket button 1 space release bracket semicolon. Then we're just going to copy and paste this for the other 3, and we'll just call this 4, 3, 3, and 2. And that should be everything that we need. So now if we check over our code, we have our string set up, everything like that. It's all good. In our header file, everything's working. So if we go into our simulator, if we choose our active SDK iPhone simulator, yours would be 2.2.1 probably, unless you have a developer account. I'm using the 3.0 simulator just because everything in here will work, like I said in the beginning. So iPhone simulator 3.0, and build and go. And I'm praying that we don't get any compiler errors. Nope, good. So it's installing the button alert in the simulator. And now we have the same thing that popped up before, which makes sense because it's the same exact app. So if we hit Mac Mini, then favorite Mac, you chose the Mac Mini as your favorite Apple computer. Yes, go back. Mac Pro, go back. iMac, go back. Mac Pro, MacBook Pro, yes. So that's just really simple. Alert views can be very useful in any of your apps. I think most apps have alert views. Well, a lot of apps have alert views. They're really useful. You can put controls in them. You can put text fields in them. Once you know what you're doing, there's a lot of possibilities. So thanks for watching, and I'll be doing many more of these iPhone SDK videos. as well as on my current design blog, which is desdot.tumblr.com. So also subscribe and follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/JilesVanGrayson. Thanks for watching.